It's been a while since I filmed a mukbang. I ordered a bunch of Korean food I have not tried yet in Korea. It's actually my last full day in Seoul. These bowls are kind of tall so you can't see it, so let me cut it down. Ah, this one's a soup, so I have to be careful. Woo! Oh! Oh, spicy. I had to take a sip of that because I cut too low, so the soup was about to fall out. If you have that on an empty stomach, like I am right now, oh, it's gonna feel really spicy in the inside. Woo! One more sip. Ooh, alarm clock for the intestines. Ooh, I was already sweating, but now I'm really breaking up in sweat. This one's Nengmyun. Oh, what's this? I think you pour this in here. Done. This camera is on a gorilla pod. The gorilla pod is on a chair, and the chair is on the bed, and this table is touching the end of the bed, so I can't really like put it directly in the middle. What's this? Radish. I miss filming mukbang actually. I mean, I've been constantly like filming travel vlogs in Korea for my other channel, the Sweet and Tasty TV one, and I've been constantly eating, and I gained 7 pounds, which is okay, but in terms of health, probably not healthy to gain so much weight in such a short period of time. Well, I've had Nengmyun and Kimchi Jjigae in Korea, but not during this trip. Check it out, it's super icy in there. Let's have the Maemil bibimguksu, because that is pretty time sensitive. Oh no, this must be the Deopbap. I see rice in there. Okay, this one then is, before I mess it up any further, I'll give you guys a close look of the ingredients. You see there's bits of seaweed in here. This is dried seaweed, but it was seasoned with sesame oil, and you see sesame seeds. And here, over here, you see cucumber, mini slices of cucumber, boom, and then you get white radish. See, we got white radish here as a side dish. And then we have half a boiled egg right here. You can see the yolk. And of course, this sauce is very sweet sauce. And of course here, we have the noodles, noodles. It's hard to grab it without the noodles breaking apart. And when the noodles break apart, they kind of like splatter a little bit onto you. I can't say wearing white is the smartest thing to do. Kind of want to put this striped pillow right here. I think that'll make things look more lively, you know? No, it might make things look too busy. Yeah, I don't want it to take too much attention away from the food. This is Maemil. Maemil in English is buckwheat. So this is a buckwheat noodle. So let's get a generous bite here. You really gotta mix that up because the sauce is on the top. If you don't mix it up, only the top part is gonna be tasting the most sweetest, right? Here's a funny thing about food in Korea. When you have dessert in Korea, it's less sweet than the typical American dessert, like the dessert in the US of A. However, when it comes to food, like this, in the Kimchi Jjigae, when it comes to food, it tends to be sweeter than your average American food. Now typically when I say America, I mean US of A, the States. It's kind of hard to mix it because I don't want the ingredients falling out of the container. It's not too spicy, but if it goes down the wrong tube, it gets like a boom spicy, like suddenly, whoa, actually it's getting spicier. It's one of those spices that it's a creepy type of, it's a creepy type of spicy, the kind of spicy that makes you mispronounce things. My nose pores are like opening up and like, sweaty, very sweaty. That sesame, the seaweed in that makes all the difference, because with the seaweed brings a sense of a bit of saltiness to it. The seaweed bits taste much more mature than the sauce. The sauce is like it's in a similar category as of like the hot Cheetos spiciness. And some type of spicy are very mature and sophisticated. This spicy is more mature than the Kimchi Jjigae spiciness. And the little slices of cucumber are so necessary because and the radish is so necessary because it brings like a refreshing quality to this dish. And because the noodles, when you bite it in your mouth, it sounds a little squishy. The cucumber and radish bring like a crunch factor to it. Spicy. Woo. I have the AC on right now because I definitely cannot be in here eating this. Actually, this is stinking up my room. So right after I film this, I'll have to air it out. Ooh. Okay, I just had the soup of this, but I didn't actually get to eat the contents of it. I'll give you a closer look. I see some tofu in there, a nice square tofu. And as I transport this closer to you, I hope I don't spill any of it. Yeah, it's a nice square piece of tofu. Of course, you get the pieces of kimchi, and here's another slice of tofu. If you were to get a kimchi jjigae and pair it with any of these, I'm guessing it's better paired with the, was it Deopbap? Because if you pair the spicy with the spicy sweet, they kind of like, it's like two dominant. Yeah, it's like two dominant people butting heads. They're fighting for the flavor competition. These guys will complement each other. Let's try some of this kimchi. Oh no, actually I want to try some of this cabbage. So, I've been in Korea for a month already. I'm like, how does the time fly by? It feels more like it's been 3 months since I was here. I've been going out so much, filming a bunch of travel vlogs in advance. Sometimes there's even a day I filmed 4 travel vlogs in one day. It was pretty insane. But sometimes, like, I mean, I really wanted to film like 52 vlogs in advance. I'm barely gonna hit that number. I mean, but it's okay. Like, sometimes we overplan things. Sometimes, like, not everything goes the way we want it to. You just have to adapt, strategize. I was hoping the meat in this kimchi jjigae would be very, like, very tender. It's not. It's a little bit rubbery. You kind of have to fight with it. But tofu is always soft. So I think the tofu will bring the softness to this dish. We also have mandu here. We have kimchi mandu and the beef mandu. You could tell it's kimchi mandu on the outside because it's a little bit red. It's like more like an orange red. This is like a similar color as this guy, but just like a little bit faded out, more neutralized. Whew. Okay, there's another reason why I didn't make mukbang for a while. I edit on my laptop when I'm traveling, and when I was editing the mukbang, oh my gosh, my computer started to get crazy, and like it was getting hot, right? It was getting overheated, so like the fans were going like crazy, like really loud. It's like whoo inside, and now I'll touch my computer and it'll be like ooh, like if it was even 2 times hotter it might burn my finger or something like that, right? So I have the AC right up here. You can't see it in this screen right now, but it's up here. What I had to do was I took my laptop and I held it up to the AC. And man, I started building some muscle here because I would hold it up to like, oh, I got this bruise from Jeju-do. I fell down. Yeah, so it's been a workout, like lifting my laptop to the AC constantly. When I make the travel vlogs for my Sweet and Tasty TV channel, the files is not as big, so I don't need to do the AC exercise. This flavor is like food for a fire-breathing dragon. Woo. Every time you have a sip of that, it's like a kick in your mouth. So let's have a bite of this. I think the kimchi one's gonna be spicy, so let's go with the regular meat one first. There's so many soft wrinkles on this. It reminds me of a pug face. And if you look at the back, ooh, even, well, the wrinkles on the back looks more like imprints. It's not spicy, but it tastes spicy because the flames of this has still not calmed in my mouth. Whew. If you look closely, there's some veggies in it. I believe it's chive, and then there's also some noodle here, like a glass noodle, and of course the meat. It comes with sesame sauce or soy sauce. See, I told you this spice. Oh, I'm like even spitting on myself now. The spiciness is just like I cannot form my sentences correctly anymore. Alright, it's definitely just straight up soy sauce. Go dip it in here. Actually, it tastes delicious as is by itself. Are you the type of person who eats hot dogs by itself? Or do you need to put condiments on it? You need to put your relish, you need to put your ketchup, mustard. I'm definitely the type of person, I like my hot dogs plain if I eat hot dogs. I don't really eat hot dogs, but when I do, plain. It also depends on what kind of sausage is in the hot dog, because the sausage, some sausages deserve so much respect. Yeah, some sausages deserve more respect than other sausages. When I came to Korea during my high school years, I really liked going to Myeongdong and COEX, like Gangnam. I love the shopping area. I love like the glamour of it. I love the fact that you could see celebrities. And every time I went to COEX Mall, I would see someone famous. In Myeongdong too, I've often seen famous people there. And as I grew older, I don't really like shopping. So for me, I really gravitate towards places like Insadong. They have a lot of the traditional tea houses there in the back alleys. The main street is, you know, it's commercial. So yeah, back alleys. I suppose it would be appropriate to get a spoonful of the white rice and eat it with the kimchi jjigae. And I'm not a huge fan of white rice, but I'll have it every so often. Now, when I dine at Asian restaurants in America, they often have option for brown rice, but in Korea, I rarely see the option for brown rice. Now, when you eat bibimbap at restaurants, they will serve it with white rice. And sometimes I just ask them, can you just put more vegetables and not give me the rice? And getting substitutes for foods at restaurants is a little bit more challenging compared to the States. In the States, like, people are always asking for substitutions. So we have that culture where we're, you know, we accept that. But in Korea, maybe because not as many people demand for substitutes, the people who work at the restaurants are just like, sorry, we don't do substitutes. Almost 2 years ago, I really liked hongdae and bingsu, you know, the Korean shaved ice. And yeah, like every time I come to Korea, there's a certain type of food I'm always craving or seeking. On this trip, like I said, I really am drawn to the markets, and also for like street food, I am really drawn to Gwangjang Market, and I've just been constantly drawn to that market. I just want to, like, it's hard to eat every single street food at Gwangjang Market because there's so much to eat. So you have to make multiple trips. If you don't want your stomach to explode, that's what you do. I guess we should try the Nengmyun. This Nengmyun, I have to lift it up very carefully. I might spill. I'm gonna sip a little bit. Oh, definitely gets away, like takes the flames away of these guys. Alright, be careful here. As you can see, there is, well, let me rotate this so you get a better glance of what's in here. As you can see, there is a half a boiled egg. There's some radish. Just like there's radish in this dish, there's also radish in here, the same kind. There's bits of ice and cucumber. And let me show you the noodles in here. Let me dig in there. Peekaboo! It's quite translucent, and I'm having a hard time picking it up. It's like breaking apart as I bring it up. But yeah, that's how it looks. Okay. Oi! It looks like a ghost noodles almost. It looks ghosty. You cannot say that you hate or like naengmyeon after you try naengmyeon once, because I tried naengmyeon many times in Korea, and restaurants make it differently. Like different places have their own little thing. Some Korean restaurants will make this naengmyeon noodle very chewy, and actually sometimes it's like a more brownish color. And the type of noodle they use may differ. And this particular noodle, it breaks apart easily in your mouth. But I've had naengmyeon before where I'm like, I just keep chewing and chewing and chewing, and they're still like, all those noodles are still holding hands. You just can't break them apart. But I actually prefer the chewy noodle for naengmyeon. I love these bits of ice. Mmm. Do you hear that sound? My mouth is finally sober, no longer drunk from the spice. Now, before I eat this one, Deopbap, let me give you guys a close look. We have what's it called? We have seaweed again with some sesame seeds, and then we have bean sprouts, and is this cucumber or what is it? Oh, I think that's zucchini. And then I see some onions. Looks spicy. And oh, this seems to be mushrooms and some pieces of meats, and of course there's like a bunch of rice on the bottom on this side. Can you see it? Peekaboo. All right, actually I'm really curious how the sauce of this one tastes. I predict it will be sweet and spicy. It's not as sweet as these guys, so it has a little bit more of a sophisticated spiciness, sophisticated flame. My favorite thing here, well, okay, it depends on the season. Like, if you really are feeling hot and you want a refreshing, I would get the naengmyeon. If it's like a winter day and you feel cold, Kimchi Jjigae. But for me, like neutral weather, every day, I will prefer the Deopbap. Because here's the thing, if you eat spicy food, you break out in sweat, and man, that's gonna, like, you will need to redo your makeup after you eat because you're like breaking out in sweat. It'll probably be better to mix this all up, but like I mentioned, I'm not a big fan of white rice. I'm just gonna pick at the ingredients. I will pair the meat and the sauce with some vegetables like this. Another thing I want to talk to you guys about is faster is not always better. Sometimes if you're too fast, you might miss an opportunity. If you're also too slow, you might miss an opportunity. This really applies to me when I buy cameras. I bought a DSLR before, and the month after that, the newer model came out. And I'm like, the model I bought, it was out in the market for like 3 years without any updates. But just so happens, after I buy it, they release a new one the next month. So just because you do things faster, way ahead of time, doesn't always mean it's better. In many cases, it could help you be prepared. And sometimes you just gotta wing it. It's really hard to tell. Like when you're in a situation like, should I wing it? Should I be prepared, extra prepared? But what I like about winging it is sometimes you could be very prepared, but you can't predict the random things that happen in your life. So you might have been very prepared for the next chapter in your life and you have everything set up, but this current chapter, it like someone just randomly comes into your life and they shake things up. Maybe there's a death in the family, or maybe you got pregnant, or something happened. What was all that planning about? You know? I'm not saying ditch planning. Just don't be like overly planning and expect things to not always go your way. I see carrots in this as well. This one has the most variety of veggies. Did we try this kimchi yet? I don't think so. No. The kimchi is the least tastiest thing on here. No. That's just, we don't get along. There are certain eating sounds I particularly enjoy. The main one being crunchy sounds, like a chip. So not just any kind of crisp or crunch, like almond crunch I enjoy, and the crispy sounds of like thin pastry, like layers of, you know, pastries with like thin layers. When you bite into that, it makes like this delicate sound. Another sound I really enjoy is ice. Not any kind of ice. I don't know how to describe this kind of ice, but it's been like a good, what, 20 minutes I've been eating, but this ice is still there. And what I like is the sound when you're sipping on it, right? The ice hits the plastic container, and then when you chew on it, it's not like the type of crunchiness you get from biting on ice cubes. It's much more delicate than that. Okay, now this time let's try the kimchi dumpling, kimchi mandu. Also, once again, it looks like a pug's face. Let's have it without soy sauce first. You know the dumpling we had before? Very similar to that, except we have kimchi in it. Now, I think like if we dip it in the soy sauce, it's gonna make it, like, this is salty enough by itself. Soy sauce might make it overly salty. Right now it's 3 p.m. 24 hours later, I'll be at the airport waiting to board my flight. Maybe I'll edit this mukbang video on the flight to Bangkok. Maybe I mentioned this in a previous video. I was wondering, why am I going to Bangkok? It was kind of random. I just chose it randomly, but mostly it's like, I've been to Bangkok once, but I've seen the party side of it, the nightlife, a little bit dirtier side. But I wanted to go back to Thailand to experience the culture. It's like I have unfinished business in Thailand. And this time I'm prepared. I'm bringing anti-diarrheal pills. Proof. I really need some radish. It'll help refreshen things up. Usually when I go to restaurants, the radish are thicker and bigger, but these ones are so thin. The thinness reminds me of the ginseng that they give, the pink ginseng that they give you at a Japanese sushi restaurant. All the things I talk about in my mukbang video, they're just thoughts that come up while I might be filming a vlog, or when I'm chilling out at a cafe doing some reading, or when I'm riding in a subway. Oh, the spice is coming back. So another thought that came to mind when I was riding the subway this week was that progress is not always visible. Sometimes it's such like a mental thing. You know, progress doesn't always like build up and you see it. You know, you don't see it always building up like a like, you know, when you put a penny in a jar, when you put 1 penny in there a day, you don't really see much difference. But if you look at that jar 3 months later, it might look bigger. And if you look at that jar 6 months later, it'll look even bigger, right? Every day you might be building towards something, but don't get discouraged if you don't see big visual improvements. You know, you're working towards something and all of a sudden you realize, I improved a lot. You know, maybe it's like, it's kind of like when you haven't seen friends for a long time, right? Or when you see friends every day, you don't necessarily see them change all the time. You don't even realize how much you've changed. But let's say you step away from your hometown for 5 years and you come back and you meet up with your friends and you talk and you're like, wow, a lot has happened during that time. And then you might realize like, oh, my friends and I, our thinking is very different. Or like, oh, this friend has went through a lot. They have matured so much. Like, this friend wasn't necessarily mature when we were young, but she has matured so much during the past 5 years. And also, if you hang out with certain friends all the time, you influence each other. So in that sense, it's also harder to tell how much you've both changed. You know what I realized? Pokemon are like ghosts. You know, only people with the app, the Pokemon Go app, can see them. And I find that intriguing because everyone, we think that what we visually see is real. And if I can see something and you can't, then we might categorize that as a supernatural thing, or maybe that I'm high, right? But every day, even when everyone is sober, without any alcohol or any drugs or any like stimulant, person A will see one thing, person B will see something else. And this is because it's a matter of perspective. You know, I felt this way when I was an art student. Every time I went to the museum, I would stand in front of a contemporary piece and be there. I could even be in front of a painting for 1 hour and just think about it. And I get into this like very meditative state. But after I graduated, I was in architecture, and then I started to do YouTube and more like digital things. So now when I go to museums, I don't have that same feeling about paintings. I could stand there and I cannot sit and look at that painting and think about it for 30 minutes straight. Now I'm wondering, is it because my attention span, did it become shorter? Is it because of technology? Or is it my habits, my relationship with technology making my attention span shorter? Or is it the fact that my mind doesn't think in that sort of artistic way anymore? I'm still creative, but more in terms of social media and creating pixels, but not as much the tangible art. Is it that? And will that, I mean, if I want to go back into like more of that arts, like the painting type of arts, I can, but will I? Because is it really in line with what I do and with what I want to do? Yeah, because I used to be able to sit and think and just stare at that painting and create stories in my head and like create meaning behind what each stroke, with each shape, and where its placement. Like I would think about what it means. The artist might have one meaning, but I could put my own meaning. I will take something else from it. And there are times when I'll look at a painting and I would take life lessons from it. There's a lot of white rice in this. It's like, if I put this back, the hat back on, it's almost like half the bowl is filled with white rice. So back to the idea of, I'm getting kind of mucus in here because of all the spiciness. I'm so full. So back to the idea of Pokemon are like ghosts and only people with like certain vision, you know, Pokemon Go app can see it. So even with art, there are 100 people who will look at this piece of art, this painting. Some people will just glance at it and then walk by. They don't see anything, no value in it. They just think, oh, it's just colors. Other people, they will sit in front of that painting and think about it 10 minutes and then they leave. Other people, they may sit in front of that painting for 30 minutes and then discuss with other people. What do you see? Oh, I didn't realize you could see it that way. What do you think that means? You know, it creates discussion. So in a sense, we have ghosts everywhere. And each of us sees something that others don't. It's incredible how much people could change in such a short time, and also incredible how people don't change in such a long time. Whew, spicy is coming back. Whew. Ah, yes, cools down immediately. Oh man, I'm so full. I'm gonna finish this spoonful. I'm gonna eat, I focus more on the vegetables. I'll have some more of this radish and the Nengmyun. I haven't changed my mind. My favorite thing was the Deopbap. And my next favorite, these guys are second place. Nengmyun is not bad, but I've had much more beautiful Nengmyun in my life before. If it was my first time having Nengmyun, then this is not bad at all. But because it's called a Nengmyun, I can't help but compare it to previous Nengmyun I've had. I'm dropping stuff on the floor. Can you believe after all this time, the ice is still in here? Oh man, I'm so full. It is so easy to watch a mukbang host eat. It's another story to be the host and try to down at everything. I hope you guys enjoyed eating Korean food with me, and I'll see you guys next week. When I'm in Thailand, I'm gonna do my best to film more mukbang. Yeah, so I don't like to make promises, only predictions. My hope is to film 2 mukbang a month minimum, and it also depends on the Wi-Fi connection, because if it's slow, it might take like, well, in the worst case situation, a mukbang video might take 2 days to upload. I'll see you guys next week. And yeah, like, I'm not gonna be just doing mukbang anymore. When I go to Thailand, I'm gonna do travel vlogging as well. Potentially the similar style as my Sweet and Tasty TV channel. Don't forget to follow my Snapchat, Miss Mina O, for the freshest updates on what I'm up to, what I'm eating, all the sights I'm seeing, and of course my Instagram, Miss Mina O. I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.